My name is Donna Mathewitz with Unfinished by Design. I'm coming to you today to talk to you about a really important topic. Uh, I often talk to groups about in three different areas, really. One is grief support after the loss of a loved one. The other is training on resiliency to help people in general just to build up that resiliency muscle in themselves to help them to be better equipped to handle the challenges of life. And finally, the third kind of category that I work with is called what I call come alongside. And that's what I want to share with you today about how do we come alongside other people during their darkest journeys in life. And I think I have some things that would be helpful for you. You know, when a death occurs, long before this pandemic, found its way to our country, uh, death has always been difficult, right? The whole process, if there's been an illness or if it's a sudden death or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But the people left behind are left to grapple with how to go on with life without this person in it anymore, physically here with them. Well, now that whole process has been greatly complicated with the safe at home orders that we are all trying to our best to adhere to. Uh, so it's really changed the whole scope of how to do the hard work of beginning the process of grief and loss in a healthy way, which many times is because there's been some type of a service, a funeral, a memorial service, celebration of life, whatever we might call it. So the whole funeral industry has kind of been tipped on its head with what they are able to do right now. And the rule as of right now, as I'm recording this, the rules are that a family is allowed to have 10 people present for a service that could take place at the funeral home. So it's rather overwhelming to even consider. So what 10 people get to come to mom's or dad's service or whatever, your child, your sister, your brother, whatever it might be. So I wanted to give you some information that I think will be helpful if you find yourself being a friend or another family member who really is feeling lost in how to support the person greatly affected by this death. And, the things that I share with you are good all the time. And even some of the things that I normally would tell you, we can't do because we know that the power of physical touch is important, and we are without that ability right now. And so it becomes harder to figure things out, but it can be done. And I still say try to be there for these people. You be there for them when the death occurs. We can't physically normally, but we go to the house, we bring food, we take care of some things they may need, and we're in and out of their home for those days between the death and the funeral or whatever. That's changed, but we can still be there in other ways, right? Thank goodness for technology these days. There's texting, and there's a Zoom call that's become very popular for families to use. There's many things we can do. Sending a card in the mail, writing a letter, sending a text, good old phone call. It sure is hard to beat just actually hearing someone's voice on the other end of the line. And families have become creative in what they do with not being able to be together physically, but doing it, as I mentioned, doing a Zoom call, going around the group that's joining the call, sharing a memory, everybody lighting a candle while they're together. It could be still sharing a meal, but virtually through Zoom, that everyone, is going to sit down and eat a meal together. Finding some creative ways to still be there for each other is going to be important, even more so. It's okay not knowing what to say. It's very normal. It can be a difficult spot to be in, and be comfortable with the silence. It's okay if they need to be quiet, and if you're quiet while you're talking to them on the phone, it's okay. They're thinking, they're processing, and you don't always have to have the answers. You think about 2 ears and 1 mouth. So let's just listen. And, if anything, I say that a lot, listen, listen, listen. It's so important to let them do the talking. And some people do more of that than others. Some people don't do a lot of talking. But there may be days when they do need to talk to someone. So if you can make yourself available for them, that would be wonderful. Allow the questions to come. There can be doubt and differences in opinions and perceptions, even within the very immediate family. As I talk with people in the grief groups that I've been part of, sometimes they second guess themselves if there's been an illness. Did we do enough? Should we have gotten one more opinion? Should we, you can do that a long time. It doesn't change anything, but it is part of that process of sorting through and looking back and reflecting and like I said, second guessing yourself. And it's natural. Be patient with this person. This is going to be difficult, and even more so, it is very complicated now without being able to physically have a service that they had wanted to have, or that the loved one who passed away probably requested. Some people have made these plans and are very sure of how they want it done, what songs and what food they want for the reception afterwards. And during that reception time is when you see people. That's when people come around, and you might hear people share stories and share in the sorrow, and yet also in the joy that these people were part of their lives as well. Allow yourself to be human, to feel, and to share. Saying things like, what, I miss him too. Can I tell you a story? Oh my goodness, that never gets old. I come to what I'm doing right now after many years of my own grief journey. We have lost 2 children. It's now 28 and 26 years ago. So for over 20 years, I've been working in this field of helping other people. And I know the value of the services, the memorial services, the funerals, the value of people coming around and telling stories and giving you a hug and holding your hand. And so my heart breaks for those folks that aren't going to be able to do that right now. When you see services pending in an obituary, it doesn't mean they don't need help right now. They are still going to go through this process with or without the service. And grief doesn't care. It doesn't care what's going on. It is still going to be a process that they're going to work through spiritually and mentally and physically and emotionally. It's all still going to be there whether there's been a service or not. Crying is healthy. Do not ever discourage that. In fact, instead encourage it. Tell them, let it out. It's okay. Don't let them see that you're uncomfortable with tears. And don't hold back from saying something and saying their loved one's name because you think you might make them cry. Really what you're doing is, those tears are always right there. You're giving the opportunity to let them out and to relieve themselves of that pain, at least for the next little while, because crying is good. Let them know about other supportive people. Maybe you sense that maybe they need to see or talk to the doctor or something. Maybe they're not sleeping. Maybe they're not eating well. The sleeping thing, sleep deprivation is damaging. It is very unhealthy, and no one can do that for very long. And maybe it means a call to, the nurse at the clinic, and they would just simply prescribe something safe, or you can offer some ideas of over-the-counter things that have been proven to help people with sleep as well. So just be listening and find out what it is that they might need, and letting them know that you're aware of a grief group, here in Hastings, in Cottage Grove, and many of the surrounding communities. Almost most communities offer some type of grief support. And if you have that information, and when we again can get together physically in those groups, that you'll have it for them again, and maybe even come with them. I tell people, one of the great gifts you can give is when they want to maybe go to this group, but they're afraid to go alone. It takes some real courage to walk through that door the first couple of times. Come with them and let them have a friend to kind of lean on, and you'll be surprised how much you'll learn about being a supportive friend as well through those times in those meetings. Let them know how valuable and special they are. You're simply going to be present in their life for as long as necessary and beyond. And of course, needing to be remembered doesn't end after the funeral, after a year. The dear people that I know that still years later will remember by sending a card on the anniversary of the death or on the birthday of the loved one who's died. All those things mean so much. So I hope you'll find that some of these things will be helpful to you as you reach out now, not later, and not waiting for a service to show up this summer sometime or whenever it might be. But know that these people are hurting and they are grieving with or without the formalities and the rituals that we're used to seeing in our way of doing things here in our culture. So I'm going to close with this. Here's what it's written by Father Joe Mahoney, and it's part of this little verse he wrote, but I love this part. It says, so this could be the person you know who's lost a loved one. I need someone who believes that the sun will rise again, but who does not fear my darkness or my walk through the night. Someone who can point out the rocks in my way without making me a child by carrying them or carrying me. Someone who can stand in thunder and watch the lightning and believe in the rainbow. I love that. Someone who can stand in the thunder and watch the lightning and believe in a rainbow. And sometimes we need to be those people who believe in that rainbow when the one who is hurting so much can't. So please come alongside, and you will be forever loved and remembered for doing that. Thank you.